What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to talk about today in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Now, at the time I'm recording this, we still have about an hour and 45, maybe 2 hours left. It's going to be probably 2 depositions is what we're going to see. Now, as I always say, I'm going to catch up. Maybe we can talk about it the next day, but I've seen enough to kind of call it on today's video, right, for what we saw today. So today was a tale of 3 different things so far, right? So you had Rocky, you had Josh Drew, and then you had her sister Whitney Heard, who her last name has now changed. And look, there's no way around it. Today is probably because Amber is just so inherently unlikable, right? She just like you immediately look at her and you say, I don't trust you. You're just a liar. You know what I mean? So today is probably the worst day for Johnny Depp in terms of, you have different people with various levels of charisma or likability coming out and corroborating stories, making up their own unique stories, which we'll talk about in a second, right? Or doing something. And so factually, I do think today, probably tomorrow, is going to be some of the worst days for Johnny Depp. It's the days that you have to, I assume, expect you're going to get as his team, and you have to try to do your best on cross, you have to do your best on rebuttals, and you have to do your best on closing statements to just kind of walk those things back as if they never happened, right? Take a look at Amber. Remember how bad she is. Remember that everything really comes from her, and then just spread that out amongst her witnesses, right? That's kind of what you're hoping people will do. And I pray the jury are not full of morons, because it really isn't that hard to see it, but I do think you can fall into some traps. So Rocky, I think, was a very bad witness in terms of for Amber, because she didn't move the needle, I think, at all. Literally at all. Like, her stories, some of which were kind of like graphic, immediately were downplayed when you showed pictures. And I noticed it as soon as it happened. I was thinking, I mean, come on, the jury has got to see this. So some examples is, let me say this. One huge thing you could tell about Rocky is the change of her tone and personality depending on who's questioning her. Now, we know that you are probably going to be more standoffish to the opposing side, right? Your attitude and your mood most likely is going to change. But Rocky literally went from, and you had to watch on 2K or 2.5 times speed. You had to fast forward through the whole thing because she took forever to answer things. She described horrible injuries to Amber that she saw, but it didn't really bother her, didn't really matter. Then, as soon as it switched to Roddenborn interviewing her, she's I believe it's the next day in real time when they were doing it. Her hair is put up. She's crying. Amber needs to take lessons from her because she's legitimately crying. She's got tissues. What changed? You're telling the same story, but your entire personality now it's hurting you to your core having to relive this. But one of the things that immediately stood out is the hair. The hair is one of the most unbelievable stories Amber could tell, and when you amplify it, you only make it worse. So Rocky goes on to say, this huge bloody chunk missing from her head. And when you hear that, and when you go online and you see other examples of domestic, abuse victims that show, hey, what does it actually look like to have a broken nose? And obviously, Amber doesn't know. What does it look like to have hair torn out? You look at those pictures of hair ripped out, they're legit. The Amber pictures are hilarious. It's just a spot missing a little bit of hair. I think, personally, Amber, and we've talked about, Amber grabbed her hair and cut it. That's all she did. Maybe she had to. I mean, there was hair, right? There was hair on the ground, so she had to have gotten that from somewhere. She could have gotten it maybe from a comb, right? But I think she took a little bit of hair and just cut it with scissors. It was obviously not pulled, though, because there's a clear difference. But when Rocky's talking about bloody and her hair and her head looks like bad, and then you see the pictures and she said, yeah, that's where the hair was ripped out, and you just go, oh my God, you just ruined it. You ruined the story, Rocky, because you look at that picture and you're being told, hey, look at that picture. Hey, Rocky, is that the bloody, disgusting hair missing area of her head? Yep, that's the one I was just talking about 10 minutes ago. Oh my God. Hey, Rocky, that hair on the ground, it's all very perfectly placed. It's all in one clump. Like, literally, it's just one piece of hair, one comment. Hey, Rocky, did you move that? No, that was how it was. She said that. It was, they took the picture immediately, and they took it how it was. So the hair wasn't all over the place on the carpet, on the ground. No, it all landed in a clump of hair all together land in the same spot on a carpet. Oh, and where was the blood? There's no blood on it. So you say that the bloody head, there's no blood on the head, and then you look at the ground on the hair, and there's no blood on the hair. So did you dry the blood? Did you take the blood off? Well, that means you touched it. You just told me you didn't touch it. So, like, now again, those questions were not asked, right? But it's almost inadvertent how they got her, because she tells these gruesome stories, and then you see the picture, the broken nose, the lip. Oh my God, that's the lip. Oh, doesn't it look so bad? It looks like she bit her freaking lip. It doesn't look like it was split. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? The lip doesn't look bad, okay? The lip doesn't look bad at all. Oh my God, that's the lip. You showed me it, now I'm gonna go have a heart attack. Oh my. So Rocky I thought was pathetic. So that was that. Now, Josh Drew was interesting. I noticed it. I think obviously a lot of legal people noticed it. Now, here's the deal. I don't agree with the people that said, like, this is going to vastly change jurors' minds. I think a couple things stood out about Josh. Number one, his charisma and his personality. He is easily the most likable person in all of Amber's group. Now, he's a coward. He's one of those people that says, oh, I could have taken Johnny. Oh, if I was in the room with him at that time, oh, the scenario would have been, he's one of those tough talkers, right? If I was there, it would have ended differently. And then when he is in those situations, he gets scared easily and leaves. That's him. So he is probably a pathetic piece of garbage in real life, but he does come across as the most likable and, more importantly, sadly, the most believable. He easily is the most believable out of Rocky, Amber, Whitney, Io, easily, right? Io's just a joke. So out of all of these people, he is easily the most believable. And this is the thing I was saying. This is the thing I was saying on Twitter, and I want to make it a central point of this video. The issue with Amber going first, okay? There are probably good reasons for Amber going first from her side, because she's very unlikable. Get her in first. You can get the shock stories, and then she's going to get caught, but then you can kind of pad her with things so that you can understand it. But the issue is, Amber is the one who lived it. So Amber is going to factually have the best recollection of the moments, right? So when you have Amber go first, now before her was the psychologist, the one that was just completely biased, only women can be harmed and only men can be the harmers, right? So you really do start with Amber. So when you start with Amber, every story is Amber's. And if you have other people, they should be linked to Amber. They can't deviate from Amber because she's the one who lived it. A lot of the stories, only Amber lived, just like a lot of the stories only Johnny lived, right? A lot of these people, they can't tell you, did he never hit her? Because you don't know. They were together by themselves many times, so only they can truly say it, right? And that goes down to likability, believability. So when you have Amber go first, and she tells all these stories, and then other people have been deposed or depositions, and then other people are witnesses like Whitney, and they haven't seen the trial, their stories aren't going to match. So long story, even longer or shorter in this case, right? For like Josh Drew, yes, his stories were a lot better than anybody else's, but there were key flaws. His story changes. His story is not reflective of the body cam footage from the police officers. Now, the body cam footage wasn't released till after he was deposed. He was deposed, I believe, the earliest out of anybody. This was November of 2019, 2.5 years ago is when they did his stuff. It's a different lawyer, I think, that Amber doesn't even have now that's doing it. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's so long ago. So a lot of his stories are just keeping the narrative going. And then things are going to start breaking down. Now, again, can the jury figure that out? They can. They have to think a little, though. They do. That's the thing. When you're listening to Whitney tell the stair story, and it's also not the story Amber told, I think it's easier. She's in the moment. She's there right in front of you. She seems like she's high. She's moving at 100 miles per hour speed, right? Whitney was all over the freaking place, right? So she's so unbelievably quick on her feet as if she's rehearsed, right? And she's just kind of reading from a prepared script. But her stories also don't match Amber's. So when Whitney's stories don't match Amber's, when Rocky's stories don't match Amber's, when Josh's stories don't, and not only that, they don't match each other's. Josh and Rocky don't match. Io, Amber, Rocky don't match. These stories don't. And one good example from Io yesterday was the phone. Io said that the phone was dropped twice when they were talking during the police call incident. That was never said before. The story Amber told, well, one of them told that Amber got like beat up during that time, or the phone got hit. Io said the phone was dropped twice. No, was it Amber's story that Johnny grabbed? Yeah. Amber's story was Johnny grabbed the phone and screamed certain slurs at Io, right? And said, you can have her. So like all of the stories are different. And here's the thing, again, like this is going to take a little common sense thought from the jury, but Johnny's story is different than Amber's. But also, Amber's story is different than Rocky's, which is different than Io's, which is different than Whitney's, which is different than you can keep Josh, right? You can keep going. And now I think that's it. That's the end of like the Holy Trinity. It's more than three, right? But I mean, that's the end of that main group. I think we're done. We're going to get into people that really don't matter anymore. So, but the thing is, like, if you have stories that conflict between Johnny and Amber, you have to pick between one of the two. I mean, you're going to just do a coin flip or go based off their likability or belief. But when you have Amber's story and then her side, her gang, her posse, and all of their stories are different than Johnny's, yes, but they're also different from not just each other's, but they're also different from Amber's. And so when you hear that as the jury, I would throw it out. I would say, I'm either going to believe Johnny. Okay, for me, my own opinion, if I was on the, I'd say, all right, I believe him. Because if you have 6 different people or 5 different people with 5 different versions of the story, and then you have one opposing side, but also all of his side is all on the same page, I'm going to go with him. So I would personally pick him over that group of, and you have to pick which story you want to believe in. But some people, and my wife actually said this, she would throw the story out. She would say, I'm just not going to even look at that event. And the issue with that, in a good way for Johnny Depp, is like if they do that, if that's their mentality, that's great. Because it's like, well, the New York, or the incident, right? The incident with the police. Well, what do we think about it, right? You're the 7 jurors, you're sitting in the room. What do we think about it? Well, we had all these different stories. Well, honestly, we don't know who to trust, so we're not even going to, it didn't happen. That story didn't happen. Oh, we're just going to forget it. And as Amber's side, you can't have that because it didn't happen. Something is wrong there, so you can't make a decision on it. So Johnny did not abuse her. So the defamation thing continued, you know what I mean? So, like, she did do that. So I think it's just a bad look. So, yes, today is bad. Today is easily the worst day for Johnny. I mean, it is. Again, it's had the most range of psychos, but it's had the most range of people that have mixed likabilities, and some of them seem like they're high, and some of them seem like they don't want to be there and they want to hang themselves. Like, all these different things are going on, but you have a lot of people, saying bad stuff about him, and they're all somewhat the same, but the issue is they're not all the same. And a lot of these people were in the exact same situations with each other. These stories have people, in the same room. There's more than one. There's a supporting cast to some of these stories, and if they're all there, they should have. I get it. You're not going to have the exact same story, but you can't have wild details, right? You can't be Whitney and say that Johnny punched Amber multiple times in the face during that staircase incident. That never happened. Amber didn't say that happened. The bodyguard didn't say that happened, right? Nobody said that happened, and now the sister comes out and says it. Who are you to say it? You remember something that so Amber got punched in the face multiple times by the ringed-fingered Johnny Depp during the staircase incident, which is bright. I mean, she remembers everything about the staircase. I mean, she keeps adding to it. So she remembers everything about it, but she didn't remember she got punched in the face multiple times. So you add it on to the story. You can't do that because now you're lying. Or now you're, we know they're all lying, but now we know you're openly lying. See what I mean? So that's how I think. It's been a rough day, but it's been an interesting one because these people are not, and that's what you get because Amber's obviously it's obvious. Right? I believe Josh Drew, a thing they couldn't get into what we saw is that his legal fees, Amber pays for him, not him. He actually said, do you pay for your legal fees? No. Who does? Amber Heard. So these people are all paid by her. Also, the funny thing with Josh Drew is he didn't talk to her for 2 years, and then she reconciled with him 2 months before the deposition. So she doesn't talk to him for 2 years, then comes back, meets him, drinks some wine with him, has like a dinner party 2 months before, probably to warm him up, right? Say, okay, they're going to contact you. They're going to start talking to you. Here's what I want you to say. You have to be consistent with me, and you have to be consistent with Rocky. And then he says, all right, I'll try to do that. And then he starts to tell other stories. And then Rocky goes off the deep end, and then Whitney decides, again, I'm going to smoke something right before the trial, and I'm going to go in a completely other direction. I'm going to tell stories that nobody's heard before as the person who didn't experience them. Also, it's really nice. Let me say this because I want to really dig into Whitney. Whitney, if telling the truth, is the worst sister humanly imaginable, right? Because she loves Amber to death. She loves her so much, and yet she sees Johnny beat the living hell out of her, and she has no problem having them stay in that relationship. She's like a marriage counselor between the two, right? She kind of helps both sides. She told Johnny Depp they're not at the point of no return. She wants them to stay together. You want Amber to stay with the guy that you know routinely beats the living heck out of her? You want that? And then also, let's not forget, this didn't get in yet, but it hopefully should. Remember, there's the letter that basically confirms Whitney says the whole thing was made up, and none of this stuff actually happened. The story is crazy. So none of it's real. We know that. They need to get that letter in, I think, for that finishing blow. But even without that finishing blow, again, the stories are different. And Whitney loves her sister so much. Oh, but she forgets the part where she has arguments and then she leaves for days because she can't stand Amber, so she leaves. They also couldn't get in that Amber punched her. Remember, Amber assaulted her on set. The producers of the project that was being worked on, they came out to say that it happened. So, I mean, Amber literally has abused her own sister before. Sister backs her, and it's a joke. The entire thing's a joke. So, again, some of the stuff the jury doesn't know, but what the jury can know is that all these stories are slightly, not even slightly, there's just new added details to a lot of them, and that's a huge, in my opinion, that's a huge problem that says that obviously there's some manipulation and lying going on. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. Tomorrow, we will have a recap of Thursday, and then also on Friday, we will live stream and kind of do a recap of the whole week, and then talk about what's to come one more week after. So thank you all for the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.